How do you feel, lads?
Are very fantastic.
Pearl,
Thanks again.
how do you feel after?
It's the whole exercise, man.
Amazing.
It feels
Absolutely incredible.
happy, light,
Light. Yeah.
very light actually.
Like a therapy?
It's like a little
Absolutely like
bubbly feeling in your
meditation.
tummy. That's what it feels like.
Perfect, lads. Well done. Well, here we are, gents. Finally, we're doing the podcast. Or we're just chatting. I would use that word. It's not really a podcast. It's more just a conversation. Something we tend to do a lot, but this time I just wanted to have you guys on board as well, and kind of just tape our normal day-to-day conversations, as I think it's something which can help everyone, and this is something everyone can learn from our experience, from what we believe, and there's things we can learn from each other. So I'll start off, guys. Well, for those who don't know, my name is Aryan, and I'll get you guys to introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Pearl.
Hi everyone, I'm Warren. It's been a great amount of time. We're looking forward to this this podcast because Arian has mentioned it many months ago, and it's finally happening. So here we are. Here we are. Over to my next colleague,
Chaitanya Dara.
And
Nice to be here.
Thank you. Pleasure to have you here. Well, yeah, guys, we have been waiting for this for a while. Just glad we could do it. Warren, I just want to ask you something. Since we were talking about this weather, we were actually just talking about the floods which just happened recently. But from weather, I just want to ask you, this is something I believe in, something I've recently discovered, that just like the weather, our life has different seasons as well. You know, how we have your spring, your autumns, your summers, your winters. It's actually a concept I got from Tony Robbins. He talks about it a lot, that everyone's life is like literally seasonal, and just for growth as well. Like there's some seasons you have to do the planting, and you can't expect that particular item to grow in that season because it's not its time. You have to wait till the peak. You have to wait for the whole circle to get completed.
True.
And he believes life is very similar as well, that it's seasonal, that some months and some part of your life, like you will go through a summertime where it's more relaxed, things are just flowing, things are happening good. But then you also get into a winter where it's stormy and things are not good. So I want to know from you, like, what's your take on it, and how has seasons been important in your life?
Yeah, seasons mean a lot to me because living in Melbourne, we always talk about the weather. So, it's always about 4 seasons in one day. But when it comes to life, people like to rush. They like to rush things. They don't want to stay in autumn, or they don't want to stay in winter, because winter can be depressing. It can be down. You feel down. You feel like you've got the blues. So I think the good thing about the seasons is that you can't rush them. You've got to grow through them. You've got to actually move through the season. You can't accelerate it any faster than what the season is. So it gives you a chance to develop and think about where you're at. So we're in summer now. Summer's normally a happy, sunny, people
are out and
outdoors.
about.
Yeah, they're outdoors and they're enjoying themselves. But even in winter, you can still have fun. You can be indoors, and people like to be by open fires and things like that. But I think in life we do go through seasons, and I think there are times when you're really high energy, and sometimes you're reflecting more. And I think if you reflect, I think if you're in autumn, maybe that's time to reflect a bit more, because the leaves on the trees are dying and new ready for new growth. So sometimes I think I'm in that time, and I'm happy to be in that time. But you can feel lethargic or you feel down, but you can also reflect more. Yeah. Yep.
Seasons are great. It's like the thing with seasons is you can control a lot of things. Hot weather, you can turn on the aircon. Cold, you have a heater, you have a blanket. But with life, you can't do that. You can't just grab the remote, turn on the aircon, and things are nice and sweet and better. So I think it's a great opportunity to let go of these devices that we have. Like internally, that's what you got to do, because you can't do that. You can only do that with the weather. You can turn on the aircon and all that. But internally, there's not much you can do. Of course, you can try to medicate your emotions. You can try to escape it, or whatever. But the actual goal is to let it be, whatever it is. If you're sitting in a hot room, well, yes, dude, fuck, it's hot, and you're sitting in a hot room. that's the reality. So the acorn is a lie, basically. But so it's about acceptance and being comfortable with however you're feeling, whether it's hot, cold, because we're talking about seasons, or autumn, or whatever is happening, and realizing that this is life, and this is to be experienced. Feel what you have to feel, and don't try to resist it. Don't try to change it. Don't try to question it. Um, Go through it, experience it fully.
Well, since well, then I want to know from both of you, because you both are trying to tell me that you will experience these seasons, and like sometimes it's gonna be hot, and sometimes it's gonna be things are gonna be very bad. So really, the like, essentially, like, what's a tip? How does one just deal with it? And what if that winter is just going for very long now? That you're waiting for a spring to come, you're waiting for a summer to come, but it just hasn't happened. Because the seasons change, it changes every 4 months or whatsoever. But let's say if in your life, that season, that period of hardship, that period of pain, or that period of whatever you're facing, it's just ongoing. And you kind of find yourself just stuck in a loop. And how do you really find the joy in that? Because it's one of those things, which is like easy said than done, but it's like really, how do you find yourself in all of that chaos and still be okay with it? And knowing that, you will get out of it, but what if you can't really see a hope and you don't even know how to get out of it? Or what if you don't even know what you're stuck in, but you're just stuck?
Well, there's a tendency to see when you're in winter that it's going to last forever. And you think, it goes for 3 or 4 months, or probably longer in Melbourne, probably up to 9 months in some cases. So you feel like it's going to go forever. But it's looking at perspective, I think. If it was, let's just go back. If it was your first ever winter, you would probably think it would last forever. But once you've lived it through a few seasons, like I have, it's going to pass. It's going to pass. And if you're in with other people who may not be aware of that, you can pass on that knowledge or wisdom. Say, look, it's not going to last forever. But you can experience it, and you can learn, and enjoy. In some ways, winter's not all about being cold and shivering. It's about rugging up and open fires and a glass of wine for some people. It can be enjoyable as well. But just perspective is important. Understanding the more seasons you live through, the more they're not going to last. They're just going. It's just they pass. This too shall pass. Remember the saying, this too shall pass?
Yeah. Is it, so it's kind of what you're pretty much saying. It's more just like sort of control the controllables, essentially. That even if times are bad, even if nothing's working, there's still something you can do which is right for you, or something which brings some sort of joy to you. So is it more about...
Sometimes you don't even know what is joy until you look back. You might experience a harsh winter that is terribly cold, bitterly cold, and you're shivering the whole time. But there may be some meaning in that. You might not be happy, but there's some meaning in this, and you might be with people that you really enjoy being with, huddling up together in winter, under a rug or whatever, enjoying the meaning of that, bringing people together, but you may be on the outside cold.
And
So there's always something else in it that you can look at.
You just need that vision to see.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, how they say, it's like something I really believe in is this: if God gets you to it, he'll get you through it. So it's like, no matter how dark, there's always that light at the end. And you just got to remember, it shall pass, as you said.
It was Steve Jobs, though. He said, when you look back, you can connect the dots. You've got to look back to look forward to something, to some extent. Yeah.
Because life is what lived in the present, but only understood in the past.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's say you're doing all the right things. Yeah. You're still training. You're still trying to keep yourself positive. You're still doing everything which you need to do and staying on the track. But it's due to your karma and the karmic depths, you're just finding yourself not being able to change. Yeah. The acceptance of that. Yeah.
Well, it all plays a part. It's good that if you're doing all the things that you know and you think are right for you. But it sounds, again, simple, but it's a lot more to do with not doing than doing. Because we're always wanting control, security, approval. So once you're able to let go of that, that you don't require these things, that is the actual answer. Because all these things that we're talking about, how you're giving example, if everyone's doing everything right, whether it's to do with their workplace, whatever their job, their business is, they are hitting their goals physically, they're hitting the gym, whatever they're doing, reading books, trying to, self-help, all that. It's about not trying so hard and actually letting go of the things, the control you're wanting, that security you're wanting. That's where it all comes from. So it's more than doing, it's a lot of undoing, really.
Do you think ego plays a role in this? I mean, if ego wants comfort, as I understand, comfort and predictability, certainty.
Yeah.
But if you are relinquishing that to some extent, then you are prepared to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Then your ego is sort of getting lower or reducing, I guess, in some way. Is that right?
Yeah.
And can you? Do you think you can actually control that, or is it something that happens with age or whatever?
The ego.
Mm.
Yeah. It's something you have to work with, something you have to deal with a lot. It's funny because this is a true incident that a family friend of ours told us. This guy is probably like in his maybe 40s, early 40s. He's got a kid. He was 2-year-old, and he told me about this incident where his kid was being really, really naughty, not having his meal, not eating his dinner, and just creating all chaos at home. And so he got yelled at, the kid, and he started crying, ran to his mama and all that, and boom, he went to sleep. And so the guy told me the very next morning, the kid wakes up and the first thing he does is he goes to his dad and gives him a hug. And it's like he's totally forgotten about what happened last night. The fact that he was yelled at, the fact that he was crying and he was really upset with his dad. In the morning, it's all gone. And it's just that the society, the people we are surrounded by, it's just how the system is, how things work.
We can't do that.
All of these things are developed, these are taught to us. As babies, as kids, we had this natural ability of just letting things go. But then we become so important that all of these things mean the world to us.
Yeah. So
All of a sudden, you're offended and you're holding on to things, and you wanting to hold people accountable. You're wanting to get even, and all these negative emotions pile up. So if you think about it, like a kid is a lot wiser than majority of adults.
yeah, the day you're born, you really don't have an ego, but it starts.
Yeah.
It starts almost minutes after you're born. But in a spiritual sense, you're closest to your source when you're born, because you've come out of a formless whatever.
Yeah.
And then therefore you're innocent and you're in being, and as it develops, as you say, society, family, all has an influence on what you do.
Everything. Yeah.
And do any of you have phobias? I mean, I'm not changing the topic. I'm on topic, but are you scared of heights or spiders or snakes or the typical things that many people are scared of?
Yeah, to an extent. Not so comfortable with reptiles. Not that if I see one, I would run away, but I wouldn't want to be close to one.
Yeah. For me, I hate spiders. If there's huntsmen in Melbourne, if there's one in my car, I'd have to sell the car. If I couldn't find it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how. And I would
much.
sweat.
Yeah.
My hands would sweat, and if there was one in the room, I wouldn't be able to stay in the room.
Yeah.
I can't even. I find it hard to kill them as
Yeah.
well, which makes it difficult because I don't like them, and yet I can't kill them.
Yeah.
So it's a tension.
Yeah.
But knowing also that life shouldn't be killed anyway, so I've got this other tension that they deserve to live anyway.
Yeah.
But the reason I mentioned it is to cure a phobia, apparently there's a technique called flooding, and the idea is that you have this spider in front of you until you desensitize. They call it desensitization. So the spider might be over there, and the therapist will bring it closer to you until it's right in front of you, until you get your heartbeat starts to go down, and you get used to it. And then there's another technique where you see in your mind your fear receding into the distance.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
becomes
yeah,
smaller
yeah.
and smaller and smaller.
Where
it doesn't affect
techniques.
you at all.
Yep, yep.
So these are the kind of things that you can develop over time to deal with poor seasons, seasons where you might be stuck in, but to see a problem not as right in front of you, but to minimize it somewhat through visualization.
Yeah.
Some people can't do that, I know, but it does work for me.
It does. That's all it is. There are people who are scared of heights, and next thing you know, they're sitting at the edge of the cliff and swinging their legs.
That's right.
People have done it. They've done it in a day.
Mm.
So all these years, all their lives, they're feeding this fear. When they actually come to face with it, it's very uncomfortable.
Do you have any fears? Ari?
Yeah, certainly.
Or phobias?
Phobias, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I do have phobias, and I've had them time to time stop me. I've had to overcome some. Similar to Bill, phobia of insects. There's a point where, I had that phobia of water. Since I had a few drowning experience, didn't know how to swim.
Yeah.
But then, as Bill said, I think ultimately it's just all of this only gets bigger when you feed it emotion. So, when me not doing anything, I think I kind of link fear with failure. Something I've spoken about even before is not going off track or anything, but it's like sometimes we fear things because we failed.
Yes.
And we don't want to do it again, and because we failed and we feel like we're going to fail again. However, the truth is we're not afraid of failing. It's more of fear of embarrassment and judgment from our peers, from our own selves, from just people around us. We feel like we're letting others down.
Yeah.
And hence we just stop ourselves and don't even do the thing.
Yeah.
So for example, it's like, to give you an example, I drop something. I'm trying to play a catch, I'm trying to juggle, I'm trying to be cool, whatever. I drop it. Now, if you're watching, let's say you don't even say anything, but immediately I'm thinking, shit, Warren's thinking I'm an idiot. Now look at this fool. He's trying to be cool and he fails. That's an emotion which I've just given it to. That wasn't even there. Maybe you might have just thought, big deal. Like you might have not even thought anything about it. That's my own emotion I'm attaching to it. That's now gonna stop me from juggling again because I feel like shit. Now I don't need to think I'm an idiot. I'm just being silly. Or like, why is this guy not being mature?
We fear the worst. And I know when people are in the distance, they're looking at me and they're talking.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're talking about me personally, but the reality is they're probably nothing to talk.
Yeah. 'Cause we feel that. We feel like everyone's talking about us or everyone's thinking about us. But the reality is the time you spend thinking about what the other person's thinking about you, they're not doing that at all.
You're not the main character.
You're not the main character. Because really think about it. When was the last time you were thinking about someone in public you just saw? And even if you were, for how long?
True.
You might see a guy in a goofy outfit and you're looking at him. Next day you forget.
Yeah.
I mean, I work in retail or I've had those experiences and you've worked with different people. I honestly don't even remember the customer I served yesterday. Yeah. So we forget like this.
And if your boss says, Arian, have you got a moment? I want to speak with you in my office. What does that mean?
Well, that means Arian's done something really great and he wants to praise it.
But it may not. It may be that I've got some positive feedback or something like that. Yeah.
That's what I mean. But our mind will always look at that comment, Arian, I want to see you. If your boss is saying it, and it's like, oh crap, what have I done?
Exactly.
We always go to the negative first.
That's right. Yeah.
That's just our mind. It tricks us.
Someone said it was called ants. Autonomic negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Ants. What's your ants? Get rid of them.
Exactly.
I just say that whatever you're doing, man, just do it to the fullest. Be present while you're doing it. Don't try to think where would I be and this and that. Just give it all you have right now because that's all you have. There is no past. There is no future. Future never comes. There is no such thing as past. We started this video now. We'll look back. Oh, now it's past. What I just said now, that's past.
Yeah.
You don't have anything
You're
except the now.
Moment. You're only in the now.
So I just try to not analyze, not intellectualize much. Just be free and do what you know, what you can.
I like where science and spirituality intersect because they say the Big Bang brought in time and space, but before the Big Bang there was none.
Yeah.
And that's where the mind goes crazy. When you think about what happened before the Big Bang, who created that? who created God? You know, if we're using language, and I know Deepak Chopra says we're asking the wrong questions when we talk about who made God, because it's a silly question. It's because we're in the time and space dimension. But we would look beyond that. The reality is that we're in the moment, and that's what really matters, isn't it? It's not the past or the future.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's difficult to do.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just a bunch of programs. Everything is just a program that we're running.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever you know, whatever you believe,
Mm.
all are just programs. Even what I'm saying, it's just a program.
And Anthony Robbins was big on that, wasn't he? That's that ability to change your perception very quickly, like just like that.
Yeah.
Anthony Robbins was good on that, and it means you can do it very fast. You don't have to go through therapy and that sort of stuff. It can happen just as quickly as clicking your finger, if you really want to.
So if you were to give us, from your experience, or like a tip, how does one manage with uncertainty? And I'd like to add to it, like career-wise and even relationship-wise.
Drop the belief that there is certainty, I think, is the key to it, because I know today there's a lot of expectation about jobs and how they, every company now has a purpose statement, and then you're using that as a way to lure candidates. And, the purpose of one of our big banks is to create thriving communities, when in fact, the real purpose is to grab money off people and look after shareholders. But, they don't state it like that. They're trying to create this utopia, when in fact it's not a utopia. You get into any profit-making business, and that's how it is. You become a number in that business. So you've got to protect yourself, and you don't rely on an employer or a boss to look after you. I wrote a book on this topic called Manage Your Own Career, Reinvent Your Job, Reinvent Yourself. And the key was manage your own career. Don't let anyone else manage it.
Exactly.
Be in charge of your life. And that's the key, I think. So don't be, know that uncertainty can be to your advantage. Nothing has to be certain. And it's hard for the ego. We talked about ego earlier to know that. But sometimes it is about trying different things. You go into a job, you didn't like it. It's not a tragedy. You move on. You say, I didn't like that. I'm not going to do that in the future.
And what if you studied and you wanted to do something, and then you find out it's actually not what you want to do?
And that is quite common.
Because that's so common. And
Absolutely
I know that
common.
they say what a lot of people don't actually end up working in the field they studied for.
It's only about 4% of graduates who work in the field that they had the major disciplines.
Whoa.
So the majority are not working in the field that they studied in.
Yeah, I think links back to what you were saying. Ultimately, you're a number. The truth is, as I say, like, you love what you do, not your company.
Yeah.
Because the company is going to replace you like this. You're just a number for them.
Absolutely. And exactly.
Just enjoy, as what Pearl was saying, enjoy the now. Enjoy whatever you do. Don't just do it for the sake of it. Really put in everything you have.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I've been marched out the door through no fault of my own. I've had security march me out of a building through budgetary reasons or whatever. But it's very demeaning to have your first experience like that. And I've had other experiences similar to that. You never really get used to it, but you have a scat that if you've done the right thing by the employer, you've done the right thing. That's all you can do. You haven't ripped off anybody. You're living your own values, which are important to you, and you treat people well. Of course, bad things are going to happen to you. I mean, I'm just reading this book by Ryan Holiday. He said statistically, you're going to meet people who are cracked, who are weird, ego-driven people, because 96% of the world is probably like that. So you're going to meet them in every single walk of life, job. So it's just a matter of how you deal with that and look after yourself.
Yeah.
Look after yourself and do the right thing by others. That would be my learnings, and that's what I'd advise, passing on what I've learned.
Phil, from you, just again, same thing. What is uncertainty? And if you can, would love to hear it. Why do we have it? And especially in relationships.
We're bound to have it. Uncertainty is nothing but the unknown. You're not scared of the actual event. It's the unknown. Even if we were to talk about death, it's not death that you're scared of. You're more perhaps thinking, what's going to happen after? What's going to happen to me? Because you don't know what happens after. You're going to think, what's going to happen to my family, my loved ones, my friends. So really, it's just the unknown. That's all you're scared of. And all misery is self-created. So you are just thinking, fearing this thing that you have no control over. So, like, for example, at the start of this podcast, you know, it was a bit, I could feel the nerves. I was just, during this whole process, I was feeling a lot of things. Like, how's it going to go? And, you have this camera in your face, because it's the first time we're doing something like this. And then you think, oh, am I going to sound good? Am I going to sound stupid, dumb? What are people going to think of this? But then again, it comes back to what I thought, what I said earlier. Wanting that approval, security, uh, safety, and just letting go of that. So this podcast that we just did, this was also unknown, uncertain. This light going off, unknown.
This location.
Yeah,
What are we doing? Where are we doing? Everything.
yeah. So really, like, there is, all you got to do is just let it be.
Go with the flow.
But how do you really let it be?
Dumb.
It's like,
It
because
sounds
it scares
dumb, but-
people, It's like, what's going to happen? That fear of the
All right. Like, what's going to happen?
in terms of a tip.
All right, do this exercise. Simple. Then what? Exercise. It's like you didn't study for the exam. Then what? You do shit, shit exam. Then what? You fail. Then what? You get yelled at. Maybe, I don't know, your parents, whatever, teachers, disappoint them, you let them down. Then what? Feel like crap. Then what? What are you going to do? What, are you going to kill yourself?
Some people do.
Let's say, yeah, and they do. Like, no joke. No, this is not a joke anymore. Like, yes, they do. And then what? So at the end, it's all going to come down to death. Honestly, believe it or not. Any fear. Okay, like, it's like, I don't know, man. Like, if I start taking drugs and alcohol every single day, it's like, what's going to happen? Health gets fucked. Then what? Oh, lose your job. No money. Then what? No food. Then what?
Reputation.
No, and no food. And then what? Can't maybe afford bills, medical bills.
Yeah.
No hospital, no medicine. Then what? Get even worse. Then what? Die. At the end, it's going to be your physical death. That is the greatest fear everybody has. There's no fear bigger than death, because it is the ultimate unknown. It is the ultimate uncertainty. Everything else you can kind of guess.
I've heard
like,
all
for
fears-
example,
all fears are death, aren't they?
yeah,
all fears
are
lead to
death.
death.
Like, whether you talk about your job, you talk about your relationship, you can think, oh yeah, this person may end up leaving me. There may be a bad breakup, or I might fail the exam, I might lose the job. You still know what could happen afterwards, and you may even have a plan B. You may even try to come up with something what you would do if the worst was to happen. But with death, you have no plan.
Well, there's a saying they say, like, till death, everything else is just a mental defeat.
It's just, it's just in your head, man. It's nothing but just this emotional roller coaster that you're going through. There's really nothing happening.
We're
What about
dying,
in
from
terms
the,
of
day,
people?
we're
Why do
dying
we-
from the day we were born, The very day we were born, we start dying.
Exactly. In terms of people, why do we have it? And why do we need to know what's going to happen?
Why do we have what?
Like uncertainty towards people,
Towards people.
to relationships. It's like, how's this going to go? What's going to happen?
It's not towards people.
It's coming from within.
It's all within. There's nothing on the outside, man. No one's making you feel anything except yourself. If somebody comes here, sits right next to me, and let's say they are maybe talking ill about me, or they using cuss words, or they're speaking in a totally foreign language, right? I would have no idea, right? They could be saying the meanest, the most nastiest things. I would have no idea.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, buddy, whatever, right? But if someone speaks my local tongue and that person's 50 meters away, and even if I can read their lips, I can't hear them, and I feel like, no, maybe they're saying something mean or nasty, I'm going to get affected by it. So is it really what the event that's taking place, or my internal reaction? So this is all bullshit, bro. There's nothing happening. Nothing. No one can make you feel anything. So that's it. It's all you. It's all self-created. Every reaction, whether it's positive or negative, it's coming from within. I can give him a really nice meal, but that feeling of enjoying your favorite meal, the feeling of satisfaction, the taste, enjoying the meal, the flavors, I can't experience that. He's experiencing that inside. That's an event that's taking place inside you. I can add all the masalas, all the fucking
Ingredients, whatever.
shit. I can't make it.
The taste is only in your tongue at the back, and after that, there's no taste.
Yeah. I give the same meal to somebody else.
Yeah.
Maybe their tongue's fucked. Yeah.
So
Maybe
true.
they have no sense of flavor.
Yeah.
And then they think it's a very
Average.
it's
Shit
a
meal.
fucking bland
Yeah.
meal. So is it really the meal that's to blame, or is it what's happening inside you? That's the game, man. But people want to just we all, not just people, we all want to point fingers, rather than recognizing and look within. That's the game.
Yeah, I like this thought that I never thought of this either when you mentioned it, that all fears, every single fear leads
all
to the fear of
death.
death. You think every single fear, like that phobia I was talking about earlier, it's a fear that the spider's going to bite me and I'm going to die.
Yeah.
It's a fear, of death. And there's only two polarities, and I reckon in life there's only love and there's fear.
Yeah, that's it.
And you decide which
way you
one
want to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Since we're on this pill, I think you would probably narrate that story much better. And I'd love you to tell Warren. Warren, it links back to how we are in this constant chase of a career, money, fame, status. Ultimately, it's like, we're chasing this recognition. This check we want. But how many of us actually spend the time looking within and really finding out who we are? Like we all study our subjects. We know so much about our careers. We know so much about what we want to do and those things. But how many of us actually look within?
So little about ourselves.
And find out who we are. Because I believe that a lot of us actually, we're clueless about who we are and what we really believe in and what we want to do. We tend to live our life based on what other people's opinions are about us. It's like whatever your mom, dad told you, well, this is how you are. Like, I know you as a person. A lot of us buy that crap. And it's like, are you really that person? Or are you just convincing yourself you're that person because other people around you are telling you that?
Yeah.
And it's like, who really are you? And have you really found out who you are? What really matters to you? What are your morals? What are your values? Because for me, even for a man, like I can't judge a man based on their career success or the monetary achievements. There's none of that. For me, what defines a man is two simple things, or just any person, a man, woman, is just their character and their values, who they are and what do they stand for.
Absolutely.
I think it's just two simple things. You could have all the money, but I think someone's even said it. Like, if you're a dickhead and you have money, you're just a dickhead still, just with money.
You're still a dickhead with money. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, really, who are you? And then I know there's that story which I want you to tell, Warren, because you'll be able to narrate it much better. It's something another guru or another personality I look up to a lot is Dr. Chinmay Pandya. So he mentions this story about what is it, like the canoeing and
Oh
yeah,
okay.
storm.
Oh, that one. Okay. There were like a bunch of doctors or engineers, and they were visiting like this village, to help the underprivileged and all that in India, right? So we've got really, influential, highly educated people, very reputed people, and the villagers are just there, and they're sort of like treating them as gods, like, oh, thank you, like you're here to sort of help us, and so they can make their living conditions better. And then so he's taking them from like one end of the village to another, I think, and they're going across this river. And So the guy is just doing his thing. He's doing his thing. You know, I don't know what would you call it? Just
Rowing.
rowing, and these guys are sitting down. The doctors, the engineers, whatever they were, scientists. You can say whatever occupations they had, and they're like, "Oh, hey, oh wait, bud, do you know much about science?" He's like, "Well, what is that? Is that an animal? I've never heard about it."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, mate, jeez, can't believe it." And then he's like, "Whoa, okay, well, what about mathematics and literature? Do you know much about that? Do your villagers know much about it?"
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "What is that now? Come on, is that again some alien shit? Like, what's going on? I've never heard these things before." He's like, "Man, your whole life is really a waste. I swear to God, you don't know shit. You don't know anything." They were so shocked and baffled.
Mm.
And they kept asking him all these questions, and he had no idea. He had no answers. And they just felt like, wow, look at all these people. They don't know anything. How are they even going about their lives? Jeez. And all of a sudden, like, there was a storm, and like the river started to sort of really overflow, and the boat was just tipping in this way, that way.
Mm.
And these guys started to freak out. They're like, "Whoa, shit!" And they're holding on to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy says, "Oh, dear sir, let me ask you something as well. This boat is about to sink. Do you know how to swim?"
Yes. Yeah.
And they didn't.
No, that's right.
And they thought this guy's life was worthless.
Exactly.
So, we do all these things. We achieve all these things.
Yeah.
We know about the world. We know about the finances. We know about the stock market. We know about business management, financial management, this management, that management. Nothing about self and nothing about self-management.
And judging.
Yeah.
Judging people, what you think they can and can't do.
Well, I hope you enjoyed your time, Oren. This is the first time you did something like
Thank
this.
you for the invitation to do that. It's amazing where one thought can lead to another and another idea. So, yeah, you don't need a script.
You don't need a script, guys. Yeah, for those who don't know.
Let's hope you all agree with that, to everyone listening.
Before walking in, talking about uncertainty again, we didn't know where we were going to shoot.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we were going to talk about. We didn't even know how to start it. We were like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's
We
just do
didn't know
it.
who was going to participate. It was actually meant to be between these two.
That's right.
Didn't know
And they
that.
just asked me to join.
That's
We
it.
had a third, fourth member who kept walking in and out.
That's an
That's
again.
right. He's still over there.
Uncertainty.
Yeah.
The lights went out.
Yeah.
Now we're in
And
a
then
fucking
you-
forklift.
We've got a forklift. Yeah, exactly.
But this is what we're trying to tell you. If you feed to it, you'll give it emotion. Don't. Just keep on doing what you need to.
That's right.
You still can. It's fine.
That's right.
Well, Phil, thank you again.
Thanks again.
Appreciate it. Thank you for coming,
Thank you,
gents.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Warren.
Thank you. Good
I
luck.
hope you had a good chat. And for you as well.
Bye,
I hope
everyone.
you guys liked it.
See you.
Catch it.